This episode is brought to you through a partnership with Suncoast Credit Union.
Welcome to the Ignite Project, a Polk County Public Schools podcast made for teachers by teachers. Teachers of all experience levels need each other's enthusiasm and passion to fuel an ongoing desire to do what it takes to meet the needs of our students. And that's what this podcast is all about. Be energized by their enthusiasm to ignite a love for teaching while they challenge others to join them in their work. Join us now.
Welcome to the Ignite Project. I'm Jessica Solano. I am the Teacher Engagement Leader here with Polk County Public Schools, and I'm so excited to welcome my friend Niurka Zapata from Kathleen Elementary School to talk with us today. Welcome, Niurka.
Thank you, Jessica. It's an honor for me to be here with such a great leader.
Yeah, I appreciate it. We're excited to have you here. I know we love getting to bring people here on the show because here at Teacher Engagement, we get to hear your stories all the time and we get to engage with you. And what's so great about this podcast is now we get to broadcast your stories to the larger community, specifically our teachers here in Polk County. And I know you're really passionate about building this learning community and fostering a learning community at your school. And so I think this is really going to resonate with a lot of teachers who are feeling like I might be isolated, or I might be feeling like I only have my couple people that I can connect with, but I'd love to have a larger connection with on campus. So I appreciate you being here. Just to give the audience a little bit of background on Niurka, she's got 17 years in education, 10 years teaching, and she's been with Polk County Public Schools since 2015. So we love to have you on the show. She's been a part of even programs like Extending Excellence, which is our peer mentor program, Leading from the Classroom, which is our teacher leadership program. So I love that I can see in the stories that we get to have you share that you have those little pieces mixed in, right? The power of the mentorship, the power of teacher leadership, and now even as a culture ambassador, getting to boost the culture throughout the district through social media. I think it's such a perfect fit for you, for sure.
Thank you. It's an honor again to be part of all the initiatives from the Teacher Engagement Department. I love being around the positive vibes and everything that you bring to the table, not only to new teachers, but teachers that have been in the district for a while, right. Bringing the new ones, the expert ones, and just expanding the family is such a great experience.
Oh, thank you. And I'm glad you said that, because when we first came out with Teacher Engagement, a lot of people were like, oh, you're the people that support new teachers, right? And we're like, no, we do everybody. Teacher leadership is half the work. And so I think that's really great that you've been able to see so many different perspectives. And I'm sure that's even helped with your work in fostering a learning community at your school, is you have to take in those different perspectives. So we'll just dive right in. For those people who are listening and like, okay, fostering a learning community at our school, what does that mean? What does that look like? So if you could kind of give us a definition of what it looks like, and even if you could give us an example too of like, what does it look like when you don't have it?
Okay. Fostering a learning community, it's everyone working towards a goal, common goal, vision, or need at the school. And that means including everyone, from custodians to food service staff to ESE department. It's very important. Special areas teachers, front office staff, is just bringing everyone along together.
Yeah. Awesome. And so if going like a peek behind the curtain then at Kathleen Elementary, what is that common vision that you all have aligned with?
Working with all the stakeholders, I would say, not only working vertically and horizontally with our grade level, but also reaching out to the parents and all the community stakeholders as far as bringing all the groups together to help and for the students' growth. So definitely all the teachers, again, and all the staff just working together towards that goal.
Yeah. Well, in our previous podcast, too, we had Adam Smith on here talking about building relationships. And so if you haven't listened to that one, make sure you do. But he talks kind of along that same vein of it takes a village, right? And so often, I love how you brought up those specific areas. ESE teachers, for example, a lot of times they're telling us that they feel left out or isolated or like, I'm not a part of the greater community at my school. But we know that they're vital for being able to help in the overall growth of so many of our kids. And so being able to take off that weight that it's just the classroom teacher who has this responsibility to grow the students. I love that you're saying it's everyone. It's the custodians, it's the ESE teachers, it's the coaches, it's everybody.
It is, and every teacher out there that has the opportunity of bringing them along, making them feel welcome if they come into their classroom, to have a table there for them to share the planning, the materials up front, and just for them to know, even if you don't do all that, just to know, hey, I can just reach out to this teacher and ask about a specific student and have them be part of your class, especially if they're coming to help out with the student.
Yeah, awesome. So where did this come from? As far as this idea of fostering this learning community and having everyone feel responsible for, the growth of each student?
Well, I've been, again, in education for a while. So I've been an education liaison for children in foster care. I've also worked with turnaround schools. Here, I've worked at 2 schools at Polk. And it doesn't matter from which platform you are. It all ends, that we're all working towards the common goal, which is our students and our community, learning community. So as far as one of the programs, of course, that helped me was leading from the classroom.
Right.
I was on both. And I actually loved also the experience of having Marlene as a mentor.
She was one of our previous podcast interviews too.
That experience was beautiful, going to the different schools. It's never, there's always space for us to learn. And again, she was more experienced in the county. I bring experience from other platforms. Then we had new teachers, and just building that community, going to the different classrooms, learning from each other. It was great.
Right.
So that definitely was key.
Yeah.
Also, I honestly believe in the leader. Having the vision, the administrator, when they have the vision and they have all the key people in the right place, that definitely helps because they see the bigger picture. So if they're willing to have that community in their school, they're definitely going to take the strength from each teacher and kind of put them together.
Right. You're recognizing that each teacher has their own strengths and picking out those leaders. So it's this shared responsibility instead of all of the pressure being on the administrator to fix everything. Right?
Yes. So I would say it's been experience. It's been along the years just knowing. I started as an ESE teacher.
Wow.
So maybe that's...
You're like, I know what it's like.
I know, yes, definitely.
Right.
So again, being in so many places kind of gave me a better view of knowing where the needs are and being able to collaborate with so many teachers, paras, and not only at my school, but outside the school as well.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure you've also experienced that sometimes with education, it's like one of these performance professions where we come in and we don't really get a lot of time to practice, right? We just are thrown in, and you have brand new teachers or teachers in their first few years feeling this overwhelming pressure that they need to be just as effective or just as good as a teacher with 20 years experience, right? And so I know for us in teacher engagement, we've had so many conversations with so many newer teachers that are saying, I just don't know what to say in collaborative planning, or I'm scared to ask for help. And they're talking about this, and I don't even know how to put my grades in my grade book. Like having this type of perception that you need to have your stuff together, right? You need to have this. And so asking for help sometimes can be daunting, or having this idea of I'm a part of a greater community might be a little intimidating. So how did you get people at your school to buy in to this common vision and get them out of maybe the headspace of, I just need to take care of myself and my kids because I'm responsible for this. I get evaluated on this, and get them out of this thinking of you can't ask for help, or you just got to stay close to yourself.
I would say when you give. So for instance, new teachers, if you make them feel welcome. And you're like, hey, hello, good morning.
Yeah.
And from time to time, if you can bring them something, most definitely they're going to learn from that experience.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also going to give along. So I would say definitely just being there, letting them know, hey, it's okay. I'm here. Hi, are you okay? Is everything? Sometimes, we have different personalities.
Right.
There's people like, no, just, I'm okay.
Right.
Or so, you're too friendly. But again, everybody kind of picks up their tribe. So even if it's not, let's say, that key person or ambassador for new teachers at your school, but you feel comfortable, and it doesn't have to be even with your grade level.
Mm-hmm.
Like I interact with teachers all across. It doesn't matter if it's pre-K or it's fifth grade, if it's ESE or a para.
Mm-hmm.
It's just being out there and making the other teachers feel comfortable. I think once they see that, even if they didn't buy in, eventually they will.
Yeah. Awesome. And so as far as like getting things started on your school to kind of get that going, and you mentioned before to me previously that you've started a Spanish club at your school and different other programs. So could you tell us about some of the programs that you've started to kind of help everyone feel like this collective family?
Yes, one of the great experience that I treasure is starting a Spanish club at a former school. And when we started, especially like you said, we have so many things on our plate.
Right.
Having 6, 7 teachers or so, 8 teachers just wanting to join the Spanish club and staying after school for me is like, wow.
That's a huge commitment.
Yes. And the number one reason it was to serve the kids, to practice the Spanish. Oh, I haven't, I know I took Spanish in high school or so, but I want to go ahead and practice because I want to serve my students better and having that diversity piece there. Mm-hmm. So it's great. Yeah. When you recognize the strength, the weakness, and everybody works together just to make the school a greater community.
Right. And so for our listeners, we're talking about the Spanish Club. It was to help your students learn how to speak Spanish, or helping the teachers, or what was the purpose of it?
It was to help the students. It was an after-school club for students, and we kind of had to stop at 50. So we
at 50?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes. So what we did, we went ahead and had, I believe we started in first grade to third, and then fourth and fifth, and then we had teachers in both, and we had another teacher that spoke Spanish and our paras too, plus the teachers that wanted to come in and help, but also practice their Spanish again, and to be able to be more fluent with the parents and teachers. And I admire that because, again, sometimes we think we should know everything before we expose ourselves out there. And I admire teachers. I admire people that are leaders that understand, I don't know it all. How can I learn from others? And again, attending different programs, knowing other teachers across the county, and even at your school, just being there. And again, I admire them for that, for saying, hey, I need a little bit here or there, and just joining along.
That's awesome. And I think you're going in this kind of vein of like, we pour into other people, right? And we it's really the reward comes back on us as well. And getting to see 50 kids, that's amazing to be able to have them pour into them. And in a way that doesn't always necessarily align with the standards or something that's really more academic related, but you're still building this relationship with the students. And, a side bonus, you're building a relationship with your colleagues. Because, so often we feel like we're in a silo in our classroom. And so when we feel vulnerable and like we can't do it, we have, our connections are loose. Where I'm sure like with the Spanish club and getting to interact with those teachers, if you needed something, like you're saying, checking in on them, now you have a relationship to go with it.
Yes, and there were teachers from lower grades, ESE, paras, and it's just seeing that collaboration, that it doesn't matter if it's food service staff or is the custodian, just being able for them to come in your classroom, or you go into the cafeteria and it's like, hey, Ms. Zapata. It feels good to be in an environment and a culture like that. It definitely. And again, some people might be thinking, but it's not like that at my school or so. Well, it probably wasn't like that at the beginning for me either. But again, you start making connections. You start building up from scratch. And it's, I remember one of the programs, one of the teachers, guest teachers, the Florida Teacher of the Year, she said, you have to kind of choose your tribe.
Right, yeah, Joy Prescott.
So again, it's just making the right connections.
I agree. I have been talking so much with people in lots of different scenarios, and I feel like the phrase that keeps coming up is you've got to focus on what you can control. Right. And so sometimes in situations where, there are so many different ways that you can get bogged down and with different drama or different things that come up that say, hey, this is really like weighing on my soul. This is really pulling me down, because we have to understand that teachers are human. They have families. They have relationships outside of the classroom. And then on top of that, of course, you have your students, and you feel for your students, and students especially that are going through really tough situations. But getting to talk with those teachers about, focus on what you can control. And one thing I think that you can control is that tribe that you build around yourself. And so I love that. Like, just start with one. Just make one connection. Start with the person next door. Start with the custodian. Start with the food service staff, right? Yes. And make those connections one at a time to build that tribe.
One of the privilege that I have this year is actually one of the teachers from my team.
Yeah.
She was in a previous team, and we always made that connection. So we would plan together at times or so, share ideas, and do that vertical planning. And right now, during distance learning, I've had the opportunity to actually go in and work with her and do a hybrid. And then
cool.
My kids get to see their friends in school.
Right.
And again, you never know when this relationship are going to come handy. And at the end, for me, it's all about my kids, my students.
Right.
They're my number one. So I love, spending time with the staff and everything. But at the end of the day, they're my whole reason. Right. So being able to go in there and for her to be willing to do that kind of co-teach, it's a great experience. And the kids awesome. Love it. They're like,
Yeah.
So,
well, and if you're getting to a great point, which I plan to bring up, especially now as we're in this COVID-19 era and everything's different. You are an online teacher right now, but you're still so heavily connected with your school. And I think that's an awesome testimony to the work that you're doing, because as we're talking with teachers, sometimes it's felt like there's like two different campuses. I've got my online campus and I've got the face-to-face campus. And for some of our teachers that are online, even if they've been experienced, the relationship with the peers that are on campus is different this year, right? Because they're on campus and you're not, and all that goes into that. So if you could kind of talk too about how do you still create this momentum of we're all a team, we're all here together, yes. We're all positively pouring into these kids, and that we're, even a team on the grade level. And I'm sorry not to make this question like super long, but also even how you pour into our new teachers. We have our new teacher Facebook group, and you're always on there jumping in and boosting up the teachers there and encouraging them and giving them advice. So how do you do that? How do you still make a cohesive, positive campus, even when teachers can feel so isolated, like being teaching online from home?
Yeah, and to be honest, I kind of felt a little bit there for a little bit, just being home. Again, I'm a little social butterfly.
You are. I know, like, you must be killing you.
So being just at home so many hours and just, the computer, and it got to, I miss seeing that school. I get along very well with one of our paras from, all of my paras, I love you all.
No favorites.
So I miss going in there, the front office staff and everything, and I started, and then my AP was like, if you want to come sometimes, because I was like, And again, just communicating. Social media is a great tool to go out, reach out, say, hey. And also, I think that sometimes we don't seek for help.
Right.
Or express, hey, this is how I feel. So I advise those e-learning teachers that are overwhelmed. There has to be someone out there that you feel comfortable, that you build a relationship, that you can reach out to. And like you mentioned, we have a group on Facebook, whether it's teacher engagement or for new teachers. And there's people there willing to pour and say, hey, it's okay. I'm looking for this for planning, or how can I use this tech device or else.
Right.
So just joining that community. I know out of teacher engagement.
We're always here for you.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome.
So that could be a great option as well.
Yeah, and that gets to what we really talk about with teacher engagement. We're all teachers in our teacher engagement department. And we know what it feels like to feel like you're all alone, or to feel like, who do I even reach out to? Who do I ask questions to? And then on top of that, sometimes you have too much information, and you're not sure if some of the information's right. So I love that you can see that your tribe can be bigger even than what's on your campus. In teacher engagement, we have lots of different programs that you can have those intimate connections like you had with Marlene, your mentor. You can have wider connections like with Leading from the Classroom and getting to connect with other teacher leaders in the district. And then I love how you took that back to your campus to say, we need to have these connections here. And you even connect with teachers at other schools. Is that right?
Absolutely. Yes. Many.
So how do you get that going? How do you connect with a teacher at another school and then be able to work collaboratively or in whatever way you do?
Well, something probably as simple as the Facebook group that we're at. Sometimes they request me and they're like, hey, what school are you at? Or what do you do? And et cetera. That could be one of the choices. Also, when you go to the different programs and sharing is no secret. If what you're doing works, share it.
Share it.
Yes.
It's not a competition.
It's not. It's not. So I think that works very well. Again, understanding, you take the good, you kind of just get rid of the not so good. And but definitely I would say I've been in many programs. I'm thankful that the district has given me opportunities to interact in so many programs and definitely build relationships from there with teachers or educators, I should say, all across the county, and be able to kind of put all our ideas together and so forth.
Right. I love it. And what's great too is in making those connections, you're seeing like what you didn't know, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So you're having these connections, you're able to see that. I think a big challenge for people in the past has been, I have little kids, it's after school, and we've got soccer practice, and we've got all these different things, which is totally understandable. And our district is humongous. We just drove out to Citrus Ridge the other day to recognize one of our Teacher of the Year finalists. It was an hour from here, but still within the district. So a positive, I think, now in our COVID-19 world is that a lot of these opportunities are online, right? Like we have Leading from the Classroom and Extending Excellence that are through Zoom, and a lot of the other district programs are online. So I'm hoping that people will hear what you're saying about the power of that connection, and it's time well invested, but then now have the opportunity to join in the car while you're going to go pick up your kids, and be, still active and engaging with people without having to physically be in the room with them.
And to be willing to get out of the comfort zone and apply, because I didn't know any, of you. I was brand new to the district, but I was like, oh, this sounds interesting. So there are opportunities. Maybe, or many times we kind of limit our vision, or if we had a bad experience, we don't try to, if it didn't work here, let me try on this other one or so.
Right.
And in life, it's about that. So just get out of your comfort zone and, be willing to apply and just bring out the best of you. There's many, 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 many leaders around the county willing to bring out the best of the educators.
Yeah, such a positive aspect. I appreciate you saying that. So we always wrap up our episodes with the same question, and I'm sure you've heard it because you've listened to our other podcasts. But the whole point of this podcast is to be able to highlight amazing educators in our district, but each who are passionate about something different. And the goal of that is to ignite this passion. And coming back to that statement of you got to focus on what you can control. We have this passion. Teaching isn't hard. Teaching is hard. It's very hard. Teaching isn't easy, and there's challenges more and more and more each day. Yet you still choose to be positive. You still choose to focus on pushing forward this with doing things that you're passionate about, even though challenges could be an easy way to say, oh, I guess I can't do it this year. So that being said, we always ask the interviewee if you could ignite something in our district or in education as a whole, what would you want to do? So your sentence would be, I want to ignite what?
I want to ignite educators to continue to ignite other educators and make this like a kind of a chain reaction.
Yeah.
When we have the negative attitude, it's going to get, spread. Same thing with the positive. And I have to say, I had a great colleague that would always say, one band, one sound, one unit. And that group was so amazing. That grade level was very, very special. And whatever they poured into my life, I want them to know that I'm having the opportunity to do that with others.
Right.
So definitely ignite others.
I love it. I love that so much. And teachers need each other. They want to hear from each other. They want to learn from each other. I think you all trust each other more than if I came into your classroom, or if another district person came in, or if the state said something, not that it's wrong, but we just have more buy-in when it's another teacher. So, Niurka, I can't thank you enough for coming on our show and getting to share your experience on fostering this learning community at your school, and then the power of these connections with other colleagues, so you can make an impact greater than if you were doing it all by yourself. So I appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for your invitation. Thank you.
You're welcome. Are you fired up? You can hear more from teachers like this by joining in teacher engagement events. You won't want to miss out on a monthly virtual new teacher seminar, as well as our major events like Ed Camp and Emerge Symposium. Check out all of our upcoming events by following Teacher Engagement on social media at Teach Engage PCPS, or by visiting the Teacher Engagement page on the Hub.
Thanks for joining us. You can subscribe to the Ignite Project on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, or watch online at the Polk County Public Schools YouTube channel. To learn more about the Ignite Project and other Polk County Public School podcasts, go to polkschoolsfl.com/podcasts.